Well, look, thank you everybody for joining us. We've had a big success this one. Everyone must be very interested in what's happening in the digital marketing world in 2026. I think we had the best part of 700 people sign up for today's webinar, which is really impressive. So we are very grateful for everyone's time this morning. I know everyone's very busy. Tuesday morning, everyone's got plenty to do, but hopefully we can make this next hour or so very useful for everybody who's in attendance. I'm going to share my screen very quickly and do a quick intro. Right, everybody should be able to see that now. So, what's new in marketing? Quarter 1, 2026. So, we run these webinars quarterly. We have a representative from each member of our core department. So, that's search engine optimization. We have a paid media department, and we have a web development department, which is quickly turning into a development, design, and AI department all in one. What we're looking to do is bring you guys quarterly updates on what's happening in each of those areas. And hopefully, everybody in attendance here is a marketing manager leading a marketing department of some description. So hopefully you find the information useful to shape your own strategies. So in terms of what we're going to cover today, going to run through a very quick introduction, and then we're going to run through the following topics. We've got PPC, which is what Emmeline is going to cover. We've got design and development, which is Liam is going to cover. Search engine optimization, Neil's going to cover that. A bit about AI, as you might expect, and then we're going to do a Q&A at the end. Emmeline, over to your good self.
Sure thing. Yeah, I'll just share my screen real quick. See that okay? Good stuff. Yeah, as Rob said, my name's Emlyn. I'm the PPC team lead at the Digital Maze with over 7 years experience, both B2B and B2C. And at the Digital Maze, we cover Google Ads, Microsoft, Meta, LinkedIn, and more, all the mainstream ad platforms. I've got in-house and agency background. So I'm going to be covering what's new in paid media and also what's new in the ChatGPT ads world because they're rolling out ads in America. So I've got a bit of coverage on that because it's a big deal. But first of all, some Google Ads updates relating to demand gen and what's new around that. But just to recap, so demand gen is a campaign type that's largely display based and it covers YouTube, Gmail, and Discovery, as in the Google app on iPhones and Androids. But it's a machine learning powered campaign type that covers those three platforms. It was formerly called Discovery, and it replaced a lot of different campaigns, including Gmail and standard YouTube. But some of the latest updates, and I've got slides on all three of these, so a bit of a brief one. Shoppable CTV ads are new. So viewers on connected TVs can browse and purchase directly from YouTube. There's also an update to brand searches and travel feeds. So I've got a bit of a description of each one. So shoppable TV ads, CTV ads. So they are new, part of a new beta, but YouTube ads will display a QR code that you can scan, and viewers can then be taken to a URL on a website and then purchase a product on their phone. So it's a new way to get people engaged in YouTube ads. I personally find YouTube hard to watch these days because of the amount of ads on them, but hopefully this brings up a new level of interactivity, makes it a bit more interesting and relevant, and it should drive intent and purchases. So I'm excited to try this with some of our retail clients that we have. This is another interesting one. So attributed brand searches, and what that means is you can discover the volume of branded searches that have happened because of your demand gen campaign. So a lot of the time with demand gen, it's sort of brand awareness, which is always tricky to quantify, especially to stakeholders that are looking for sales and leads. It can be very tricky to quantify the amount of brand awareness you get from a demand gen campaign. So how this works is that while you're running a campaign, there'll be a column of attributed brand searches, and therefore um, it will give you a number of how many brand searches your ad has resulted in the last 30 days. So if we ran a demand gen ad for the digital maze, we could then see how many searches of the digital maze it has resulted in over the last 30 days. So the Google reps can help you activate that, but it's a good one for understanding what your brand awareness has actually led to. Another one is travel feeds. So you can now turn browsing into booking faster by connecting your hotel center feed with demand gen. So it'll be particularly good for remarketing when people are viewing your trips on any kind of travel website. They'll then get remarketed on demand gen. So when they're browsing YouTube and doing other things, that's another useful one. Some other Google Ads updates. So the latest sort of AI update is the Google Ads Advisor, which is powered by Gemini, which is um, a language learning model, but it's there to help you with performance monitoring, troubleshooting any kind of ad serving issues, campaign creation, optimization, reporting, etc. So it should give you sort of help and advice in the same way as a Google Ads rep would, um, to help you reach your goals. But obviously, take it with a pinch of salt, as Google will always try and get you to spend more money on things like broad match keywords, etc. I've added sort of a few examples of what I've used Gemini for. It's not always perfect. There's a lot of things to sort of iron out because um, it doesn't always review your account in the way you'd want it to. Um, but yeah, here's some examples. So how my campaign's performing overall, it does a bit of a fact-finding mission, which can take a few seconds. And then I've asked it to identify some trends in the past week. So it's taken my campaigns, it's shown sort of a percentage uplift in conversions, conversion value. But it should also pick campaigns that have sort of fallen off and reduced in volume and things. So it can be useful for prioritizing campaigns and deciding what to do next. I asked it for some suggestions to improve these metrics, and it gave me sort of some quite generic some generic suggestions which you could find on the Google Ads articles. So yeah, still room for improvement there, and it's only in a beta, and I can see it in some ads accounts and not in others. So it's presumably rolling out quite quickly, but not everywhere yet. Another uh, update that I'm very excited about is a campaign total budget. So traditionally, you've been able to give a daily budget, and then if you had like a promotion or a winter sale or a Black Friday deal that you want to assign a specific budget for, and then it ends and pauses, similar to what you can do with LinkedIn Meta, that's now included in Google Ads. So you can assign a budget of $1,000 and set a start and end date, and then it will spend exactly that, which is very useful. Yeah, Performance Max also now shows placement. So when it first launched a few years ago, it was very difficult to see where were your ads actually going, what was driving impressions and clicks, etc. And recently, Google Ads is continuously peeling back the layers. So the latest layer that is unfolded is placement. So you can see what websites and apps and things that you're actually showing up on. It currently only gives you impressions data. Things like conversions or even clicks are not yet there, but it's useful to understand where your ads are placing, because you can then exclude the websites if it doesn't align with your brand, or if you think that it's not relevant, you can exclude it. Currently, the Google owned and operated placements are the highest from what I've seen um, on my clients. So Performance Max is largely displaying on YouTube or the search results page, etc. But there's also some other websites also. And then from Microsoft Ads, our partners at ClickTech sent us some updates. So there's now an ability in Microsoft Ads to overlay LinkedIn profile data because Microsoft's own LinkedIn as well. You can now adjust bids for job titles and functions. So if you're trying to target a specific industry, but you've identified there's some job functions that are higher value than others, you can bid up and down depending on which ones. So that's very useful, be quite powerful. There's now impression-based remarketing. So traditionally, remarketing was users that have been to your site without converting, but this is sort of like the next level up. So you can build a remarketing list of users who have seen your ad but not clicked on it. So they're already aware of your brand and what you do, but it's sort of the next level lower down the funnel. So users that have not clicked yet. And also the Performance Max and placements channel reporting is now available. And often a lot of the Google Ads updates get rolled out on Microsoft Ads a few months later. And this is in that case. And then covering paid social as well. So a few Meta Ads updates. The biggest one being that it has rolled out ads to Meta Threads worldwide now. So there's over 400 million users on Threads now, and yeah, it's been rolled out. I haven't seen it in our ads accounts yet, so I can see the Facebook news feed, Instagram are the two big ones. I can't see Threads data in there yet, but I'm sure it'll come soon. But Meta's also launched its own AI assistant within the ads platform, similar to Google. So that's quite interesting. I'm sure it will help. And it's always improving its AI tools, namely for campaign creation, um, ad copy and creatives, as well as bidding and optimization and targeting. And on the LinkedIn ad side, only a couple of updates that I could find. So the top one being ad personalization. So you can now adjust messaging based on the user's name or their title or their company. So in this example, without ad personalization, it's quite generic, but with ad personalization, they actually put the user's name in the headline. So it says, Jason, are you ready to revolutionize, etc. I don't know how this passes sort of GDPR compliance to put the ad name directly in the ad copy. It feels like something that Zuckerberg would be fined about $1 billion for, but seemingly LinkedIn can get away with it. Another update is reserved ads. So you can actually fix your ads to the top of the feed. It feels like a bit of a premium feature that you can pay a bit extra and sort of fix your ad to the top of the feed. So something we could explore. And also in terms of ChatGPT ads, just to recap, earlier in January, OpenAI confirmed that they will be testing paid ads in America. And it's grown from about 1 million users to 800 million active users. And ChatGPT owns around 60% of the AI market. So the test is for users on the free and the Go plans. And I see it sort of like like the Spotify model where you can use the app for free, but it's a bit annoying because there's ads. So I think the end goal is still to get paying users in the subscription. But the sort of the early ads look a bit different than they first stated. So it's quite near the top. So in the example on the right, prompt is what's the best way to book a weekend away. So it's put the ad quite near the top. So it's a bit different to how they were saying that it would be further down the bottom, but yeah, that's how it's displaying so far. So there isn't a ton of sort of data or success stories from this trial, but yeah, I'll keep monitoring. I'm sure the next webinar will have more specific data to look at. But as we're a UK agency, we can only sort of watch and observe what other people are doing and hope that they at some point roll out into the UK. I believe, yeah, that's it from me. Yeah, if you want any further updates, you can email this or add me on LinkedIn as well as the same name. I've got a silly Welsh name, so not a lot of people have. Well, I'm the only person of that name on LinkedIn, so feel free to add me, and I'll pass you over to Liam.
Brilliant. Thanks, Emlyn. I think one thing before I get started is on Zoom at the bottom, there is a Q&A button. So Emlyn spoke about quite a bit there in terms of updates. So if you have got any questions, do pop them down below in the questions and we'll try and get them answered at the end. So a little bit about me. I am the technical director at the Digital Maze. Been doing this for well over 15 years now. And like Rob said at the start, typically my day is web design and development, but now we've got the lovely world of AI bolted onto that. So today I'm going to talk you through what's new in web AI, focused on the new AI tools that have been released over the past quarter, a couple of new features and bits and pieces in e-commerce, and then what does it all mean for your existing website. So starting with ChatGPT, just to follow on from where Emily left off. Earlier this year, they released a new model, which was GPT 5.2. They actually kind of removed all of the old models. So even if you didn't notice this, you will be using that. A lot of the time with these AI updates now, they all say the same thing, that it's quicker, it's better at reasoning and thinking, and it just gives you better results, which are all true. But the results do vary based on what task you are trying to do. They also released a deep research tool recently. Gemini was actually the first to do this, and ChatGPT essentially have copied. When I've tested this, it is okay, but it's nowhere near as detailed as what Gemini's deep research is. And then moving on to voice. So ChatGPT are probably the best at doing voice-based interactions right now. And this is a great way of interacting with any AI agent. Because obviously you can type at about 40 to 60 words a minute, but you can actually speak at 140 plus words per minute. So obviously if you're not in a busy office and you're at home and you want to get things done a little bit quicker, you can just talk to the AI with voice instead of typing out really long prompts. So that can be quite useful. And then in terms of apps, ChatGPT released this a good few months ago now, but turn of the year, they've been releasing more and more applications which are actually useful. So there's a few I've listed here like Gmail, Calendar, Slack, Monday.com, HubSpot, and the list goes on. So it's definitely worth having a look if you do use ChatGPT to see what connectors are available, just to kind of join the dots between the different platforms that you are using. And then moving on to the world of Gemini. So similar to ChatGPT, they released their new model. I think it was Gemini 3 at the end of last year. And then last week, I think it was, they released a 3.1 version. Both very similar to ChatGPT in terms of faster, deeper reasoning, better thinking, better outputs. And then if you really need to do a quite difficult task, you can try out 3.1 Pro. It'll take a bit longer, but you might get a better result at the end of it. The workspace integration, so this has existed again for a while, but the recent change is they've made it free. So before it was a paid for add-on that was quite expensive. So if you are in the Google Workspace world, you will see things in Gmail, in Google Sheets, and the rest of the platform to help write drafts and things like that. They're okay, but from me testing them, they're not as good as using ChatGPT or Claude in terms of how good the quality of the output is. And then on to two of what I think are the best tools in the world of Gemini. So NotebookLM, it's a separate app to Gemini, but it is powered by Gemini. And if you've got lots of large documents or data sets, you can just upload them and dump them in. It'll take a few minutes to scan the content, and then you can just kind of ask questions based on that data. And then they've got a few tools off the back of that, so you can turn it into a slideshow or create a podcast or do a video. So if you are dealing with large reports and large documents and data sets, worth giving it a go just to see if it's something that might help you. And then on to their image generator called Nano Banana. Um, Again, in my opinion, it's the best one that's out there. ChatGPT's version is good, but I think this gives much better results a lot quicker, and you can edit what's the first iteration is, make some changes through prompting, and get the end result that you need. So all of those, again, if you're using Google Workspace, or I think even if you've got a Gmail account, most of these features are available. It's worth giving them a go just to see if anything is useful. And then just moving on to the last AI, which is Claude. So these have been quite busy over the past quarter. They've actually released three different models from December onwards. The first model they released is actually now a bit redundant, which was something called Opus 4.5. They're now using 4.6 and in Sonnet and Opus. They're really good in terms of the output it creates. They're quite versatile as well, so you can deploy most tasks you would on ChatGPT into Claude. And then the model they call Sonnet is actually really quite fast. So if you need to get things done quickly or pull information from lots of different connectors, I have found that is quite good in terms of connecting the dots. And they also released a application for Windows and Mac called Cowork. So typically Claude's been targeted at more of the development world, whereas Cowork was to try and compete a bit more with ChatGPT. So this is something that sits on your machine. It can access whatever local files you want to give it, and you can do kind of multi-step tasks. If you say, I want to even just as simple as clean up my desktop, it will go through and tidy up your files. But you can also use it to write documents and scan reports and things like that. And similar to ChatGPT, there is obviously an app suite for Claude where you can connect all of your tools. I've only listed a few off there, but there are about 80 to 100 different tools you can connect. So it's definitely worth looking at ChatGPT or Claude just to see if there's anything you use day to day that you can link into the AI agent just to give you summaries and other information, just to try and centralize a lot of the data noise that exists in today. And the last one, probably worth mentioning, is if you are a Microsoft user, you have got Copilot, but Claude released a couple of quite good extensions for Excel and PowerPoint. You can just plug them in, and it, in my view, kind of works a bit better and a bit quicker than the Copilot alternatives. So if you do use those, it is worth trying it out, but it's not worth probably switching from, if you're not using Claude at the minute, switching to it and paying for that subscription. But they are cool tools if you already got it. And then moving on to a report I saw, I think it was last week. So Anthropic, the company behind Claude, did a report and analysed 10,000 conversations just to see how people were using AI in general and what gave them the best result. And they've named this technique called AI fluency. And essentially what that means is if people were using AI as more of a search engine, they weren't getting the output that they wanted. Whereas if they were iterating with the AI agent, whether it's Claude, ChatGPT, or Gemini, they were tending to get much better results. So the kind of the top tip when using any AI is don't just use it as a search engine to just fetch me this or fetch me that. If you're using it to do a task, never treat the first response as gospel. Always just iterate and ask the AI, are you sure about this? Is that the kind of the best answer you can give me? Think about what the most important part of the response is and just ask it to kind of double down on that, because you will get a better output, just like what you see in this graphic here. So just moving away from AI for a second, into the world of e-commerce. So I always like to keep up with what's going on between the two biggest e-commerce frameworks that exist in Shopify and WooCommerce. You can see the market shares are still very even. In the world of Shopify, so end of last year, they were just doing lots of small improvements. There was nothing major going on. And even now, the stuff that they're working on and releasing, it's just handy tools in admin. So they had their own AI chatbot called Sidekick. Previously, that was just more of a chatbot, whereas now it's a bit more of a doer. So it can actually action some of the tasks if you ask it to. But generally speaking, Shopify are just waiting a little bit for this AI race that's going on just to see where the land lies before developing more solutions. And in similar vein, WooCommerce is pretty much the same. They have rolled out a couple of quality of life improvements to admin. They're very much focused on performance and speed, both in basket checkout experience, but also in admin, particularly with sites with lots of products and lots of orders. But again, they are definitely exploring how to bring AI into the admin area and even into the website. So yeah, there's just a few smaller updates going on in those worlds at the minute, with some bigger updates probably to be released, I'd say Q3, Q4 this year. And so now moving on to what does all this AI stuff mean for your actual website? So I'm just going to explain something called MCP servers, which does sound technical, but it's not too jargony if you actually think about it. So all an MCP server is it just allows software and cloud-based services to connect to AI. So it was actually Anthropic that built this back in 2025, and it's a standard system that all AI agents use. So if you connect Monday.com to ChatGPT or Claude, it's not a custom integration for each one. It's the same MCP integration underneath. And what this means is all of these software providers like Gmail, Asana, Monday, HubSpot, they can just write code in the same way to connect to Claude or ChatGPT. And why this is becoming more important is because of this protocol. Companies like Google are integrating it with their software pretty much week by week. And the latest one that they announced last week was something called MCP for Google Chrome. And what that allows it to do is any AI agent can speak to your website without actually needing to browse it. So if you're using something like Claude for Chrome at the minute, which can browse and do things, or ChatGPT agent, they're very slow and it takes them ages to actually get a simple task done. So if you asked the ChatGPT agent to write you an email in your Gmail browser or in Outlook, it would take probably 5-10 minutes. Whereas what MCP will do is it will allow it to interact with the website a lot faster. So things like browsing, searching for products, adding products to baskets, and doing those more autonomous tasks will be a lot quicker. And that means that users will probably start using it a bit more. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. And if you are unsure about, is my site ready for this? It's very similar to a lot of the SEO and GEO best practices. So making sure that your site's accessible and it performs well and it's got lots of structured data on there. So it's all those things behind the scenes that all of these AI agents will be using to learn about your site and what it offers. So it's definitely worth having a look or speaking to your agency about that kind of thing. And I think for today, that's everything from me. Next up is Neil to talk about SEO. Just wait for Neil to pop in.
I'm just currently unable to start my video. Just waiting for Zara to
Okay,
do that.
so Neil can talk, but it looks like it's me. We'll see how this goes. Whilst we are waiting for Neil, I can see we've got a couple of questions in the Q&A, but I think there's a good few hundred people on here. So if you have got any questions about any of the techie stuff I've just gone through, or any of Emmeline's PPC stuff, do feel free to just pop it in the chat at the bottom. But anyway, I will leave it with Neil.
Okie dokie. Yes, hi everybody. I'm Neil, the SEO team lead here at Digital Maze. I'm not going to bore you too much with any information about me because there's quite a lot to get through today. So my slides are going to cover SEO and GEO from November to February 2026. Reason being, that's when our last webinar was. Slightly different format to previous webinars that I've done in that I'm going to give you kind of the update or the news item and then explain why it's important and what you guys would want to do with that piece of information. So hopefully there'll be some stuff for you to take away that will be helpful in your jobs. So I'm going to start with some changes that were made at the back end of 2026 to Google Search Console, which I found really, really helpful and hopefully will be the same for you guys. So firstly was the introduction of custom annotations. So you can now essentially click on your performance report graph and add a note, which may be anything from you've made a big change to your site, you've got a new campaign that was live, seasonality factors like maybe it was Black Friday or Christmas, etc. What it just means is that you can essentially see big spikes and know why they've gone up or why they've gone down, and it's not as much of a drama when you're reporting. So that's annotations. Next up is branded queries. So Google has also introduced a filter by which you can automatically remove all branded quick queries. So filter specifically down to non-branded queries only. This is through AI, so it's not 100% accurate, but from what I've seen, it's really, really good. It'll just remove anything that is your brand name plus some variants, and that essentially means that you can filter down to the most important queries that your site has got. And it's a better way to show SEO progress over time because it's your non-branded clicks that really you should be judging your performance on. There is also now AI, well, Gemini within Google Search Console. What this essentially means is that you can ask it a question, as you can see on the right here, to try and find a piece of data without actually having to find it yourself. So you could ask like to only see information from mobile searches to compare quarter to last year. Just anything that any kind of data that is within Google Search Console, you should be able to find easier now with the help of AI, which is really good because it speeds up reporting. And a final one from Google Search Console is that they have finally allowed us to look weekly and monthly rather than daily. And that just helps when you're looking long term. The graph tended to just be really quite hard to follow because it was only daily. So there was quite a lot of ups and downs on there. Whereas now that you can filter it down to be weekly or monthly, you can just get a better idea of performance over a longer period of time. So that is that's four really good introductions to Google's Search Console at the back end of 2025 that have made everyone's lives quite a lot easier. Also, back end of 2025 was the December core update. It finished rolling out at the right at the end of the year. I think it was the 29th of December. The early analysis suggests that the update actually favored niche specialists over generalist sites, which is actually a really, really good thing compared to some core updates in the past. They did get some criticism in the early part of 2026 with regards to AI overviews on the back of a core update because it seemed like some of the health information that was appearing in there was not as accurate as you would want it to be. But the key thing on the back of the update is to ensure that you strengthen your expert signals and provide more first-hand insight in all of your content because that is what it seems to that is the kind of content that seems to have performed the best out of the update. There's also been some information from Robbie Stein at Google, which is really, really helpful in terms of knowing how Google ranks content within its AI mode or within Gemini. The essential answer is that it's a lot of the similar stuff that has always been that has always been important for traditional SEO. So, is your content directly answering the user's question? Is it high quality? Does it load quickly? Is it original? And does it cite proper sources? So yeah, essentially, good SEO is good GEO, but you should try to prioritize content around clarity and trust. So to essentially show to Google and other AI engines why your content should be trusted and so service to its users. So yeah, just essentially focus on the quality of your content rather than trying to always aim everything at LLMs themselves. Some more information from Google from Danny Sullivan. This was essentially something that we've known for a while, but it's good to have it kind of confirmed, especially within the AI world. But it essentially tells us that Google still rewards content that has been made specifically for humans, not for algorithms or LLMs. So kind of similar to what I said on the last slide, you need to make sure that your content is unique, it's high quality, it comes from a place of trustworthiness, and try to not make it seem as if it's either been made by a machine or for a machine. And you should find better results in terms of SEO and GEO. This is also an interesting update that's happened in the past few weeks. We've found out from Google that AI overviews, they've started to show less if their user engagement metrics suggest that their users have not found the right information within those AI overviews for specific search terms. So this may mean that in time there are less AI overviews, which may help us get more click through to site, which is really, really good. So yeah, that's something that the SEO community has been asking for a while. So it's good that yeah, it's actually happening now from Google. At the start of Feb, there was a bit of a panic within the SEO community when Google quietly changed its HTML crawling limit from 15 meg to 2 meg. While this was a bit of a panic initially, analysis quickly showed that the vast majority of pages are well below that 2 meg limit anyway. But I'd still recommend that you do a little bit of a spot search on your site to see how big some of your pages are, because if they are over that 2 meg limit, Google won't see all of the content on there. But that does not include kind of external JavaScript or CSS stuff. So as I say, the majority of pages should not be affected by this. But I think they've essentially done it so they can give more of their server speed, etc., to AI stuff rather than yeah, crawling sites in the way it used to. Another positive thing that I have noticed within AI overviews is that they are planning to redesign the way that links appear in AI overviews, and they have started to do this. This is on the back of a lot of stick from SEOs around a drop in click-through rate. So it should now highlight more where the information has come from, what sites the user should click through to get more information. So yeah, this is another positive change, I think, with AI overviews that I'm hoping will lead to more clicks through to site. So yeah, it's a good idea over the next couple of months to monitor your click performance, especially on the pages that tend to be cited within AI overviews the most. And yeah, moving on. So this is a really interesting study done by SE Ranking, which is one of the top SEO tools, and it's one that we use here for Digital Maze as well. They essentially did a large scale experiment into AI content and how well it actually performs on Google. So they tested this in two separate ways. They put 6 AI assisted articles on an established domain, and then 2,000 fully AI generated articles onto 20 new domains. What they found is that the content worked fine for a couple of weeks, and got a few clicks, it got a few impressions, but then it absolutely fell off a cliff. So you can see here, they've used AI to make their content. It's worked for a while, but then it's properly dropped, and it's not recovered since. So this kind of gives weight to what a lot of SEOs have been saying for the past 18 months, that you shouldn't really be using AI to create your content, especially if you're not even kind of editing it from a human factor either. So it does tell us that, again, human written content is the best way to rank on Google. And it's kind of a reassurance, I think, for us that AI cannot just take over in terms of quality copywriting, because Google will catch up with it quite quickly. So quite an exciting development from Microsoft in February. They've stolen a bit of a march in terms of geo reporting. So now within Bing Webmaster Tools, which is their version of Google Search Console, they have added a tab for AI performance. So this covers obviously Microsoft Copilot and some of their partner AI tools, and also the Bing AI summaries, which are obviously the same as AI overviews on Google. So now you can see how many times your website is cited there, which pages have been cited, and it gives you an idea over time of which of what pages on your site are actually performing within AI tools. And it helps you kind of inform your content strategy going forward. This is obviously a big introduction from Bing. It's still in the beta phase, but from what I've seen for our clients, it works well. And I'm hoping that Google follows suit and puts this within Google Search Console as well for Gemini and any other AI tools, hopefully. So yeah, that's a really exciting development that hopefully Google will copy. So I've also included some information here from a study by a student at Cornell University, which essentially was looking at how important brand authority is for being cited within ChatGPT and Gemini. Essentially, from the results that were found within this quite a big study, to be fair, they thankfully said that a lot of the success that pages were finding within them was based on traditional SEO signals, like your referring domains, the quality of your content, but also the broader web presence. So a lot of the noise from the SEO community since AI tools have been a thing is that brand authority has been a really big factor, and this research project appears to confirm that. But it also confirms something that we've said for a while, that you should treat GEO as an extension of SEO, not as a separate channel. That's certainly what we do here at Digital Maze. And yeah, I'd recommend, if you want to appear well within ChatGPT and other LLMs, continue with the kind of traditional SEO foundations that we've been doing for the past few years. Liam mentioned earlier about a couple of the new rollouts from Gemini and ChatGPT, but I've just added a bit information here in terms of SEO and GEO. These two updates from ChatGPT and Gemini both are quite similar in that they are designed to give their users deeper answers and to solve bigger issues. They want content that can that they can then they want deep content that they can then analyze, interpret, and service to its users. So we know that the better the content, the more likely you will appear in these in ChatGPT and Gemini. It also showed us again that off-page brand signals are important, which is what I kind of said on the previous slide as well. But in terms of recommendations from me for this, it's kind of similar to what I've said in earlier slides, in that you need to be providing original insight, ideally backed up with data and proven expertise or experience within whatever the subject of your content is. Not just the kind of surface level summaries that maybe worked within ChatGPT in 2024. Because these LLMs are getting a lot deeper, we need to be deeper with our content too, essentially. So yeah, that is it for me. This is just a slide to shout out the SEO team here at the Digital Maze. Feel free to get in contact with any of us for any further information, and yeah, hook up with us on LinkedIn, etc. And I think that's just my email. It's probably going to pop up there. And yeah, that's it from me. I'm going to pass back to Rob, and I think we're probably going to have some questions.
Excellent. Thank you all. Should we all come back on our cameras and whatnot? I'm just going to flash this up. I'm under strict instructions to show this from Zara. You can't see Zara, but she's running everything behind the show. But effectively, we'd love to hear from you in terms of how you felt about our webinar, how informative you feel like it is. Hopefully, we're worthy of 5 stars. So if you could leave a 5-star review, we're going to enter everyone who does that into a prize draw to win an Amazon voucher. So I'm going to leave this up. The QR code should take you to the best place for you to do that. So whilst you are doing that, I'm going to fish out some questions. So, right, let me pick the best ones of the bunch. There's quite a few questions about how to appear in AI overviews and sort of LLMs as well. I know you covered that a little bit, Neil. But is there anything you wanted to add to that, I suppose?
I guess it's just to summarize a lot of what I've been talking about. All of the evidence suggests that your content has to be human written to perform well, not just on Google, but also within LLMs. You need to provide original insight. The reason for that is because if you're just using AI to create your content, it can't, by by its very nature, the content can't be original, because AI tools are obviously finding their information from elsewhere on in internet and then servicing it back to its users. So if your content is not unique and comes from a place of trust, experience, expertise, then it's probably not going to appear as much as you'd like. I also touched on the fact that the couple of updates within Gemini and ChatGPT, they're now asking for deeper content. So again, as much detail as you can possibly provide would be good. But we also know from some of our clients, a couple of things that do tend to work well is summary boxes at the top of content. So a bit of a too long didn't read type style box can work well. And also question and answers. So we're trying if you answer the questions quite directly, that can also help you as well. But as I say, try to be as unique with your content as you possibly can, and show Google and other LLMs why it should be trusted.
Excellent. Thank you. Hopefully that helped everyone that has asked a question along those lines. So, Liam, you mentioned people who iterate with AI get much better results. And by that, you sort of suggested that pushing back would give you better results. So what are your tips on pushing back with an initial AI draft, let's say? You're on mute.
I would always advise, because I've seen another couple of questions that have come in terms of using AI, I would always just think of it as a collaborator and a quote unquote co-pilot as opposed to somebody who's just going to do your job for you, because that won't end well. Um, and on the same kind of tracks, when you're, let's just take, I want to draft a response to an email. The first draft that it will give you back won't be that great. It might not read like you, it might not answer the question, it might just skip over a load of points. So something like that, I would literally just say, analyze what I originally said, look at what your output was, how can you improve it? And if you do that 2 or 3 times, the end result will be a lot better than that first output. So essentially, if you just keep asking the AI to check itself, obviously not for 15 iterations, but usually 2 or 3 times, you'll get a much better output at the end of it. It could be the same if you're struggling to fix a bug in code. The first response might not be the right approach. So if you just go through a couple of iterations, it works much better. And that's pretty much what that Anthropic research came back with.
Perfect. I'm going to ask everyone this question. Charlie, for each of you, what sources do you use to stay up to date? Now, quickly before I hand over to the guys, we do have a newsletter that we run here every 2 weeks, and we sort of distribute information like this. So it's worth signing up for that. You can find links to that on our website, and we'll send some more information around that post webinar as well. But I'm going to start with Emmeline on some of the, where do you find your latest news? How do you keep our clients up to date?
Usually search engine land, WordStream, or the Google Ads updates and articles. There's loads of stuff on there. But also there's the Google Ads reps send us the beta packs, and there's loads at the moment that is confidential. So there's tons more stuff to come this year that we will probably speak about in future webinars.
Nice. Neil?
Yeah, from me, I'd just add on Search Engine Journal and Search Engine Roundtable. I think SEGA is probably the best one. But yeah, Google offers a lot of information on their developers blog, which is worth keeping up to date with.
I don't know what Liam's going to say.
I've got a couple. So, firstly, obviously, we are Woo Commerce Partners and also Shopify. So we get some, bit like Emily said there, we get some insights in terms of what they're working on now when we get invited to test new features. But that's why I know there's some exciting things that are coming there in Q3, Q4. I use Twitter a lot, so I follow quite a few people in the tech world, all the AI companies, the engineers that work at these companies, just to see what they're working on and how they approach certain things. And then I also use deep research, so that's how I kind of know that Gemini is better than ChatGPT. So if there's something coming up like the Chrome Web MCP, I'll set a deep research task off. It will scan hundreds and hundreds of websites, even things like Reddit and stuff like that, but also more trusted sources, and it'll give me a big document back that I'll then feed into an AI and pick out all the highlights and see what I need to think about.
Got you. And Neil, how has the branded versus non-branded filter in Search Console changed how we either prove SEO as a channel to clients, or if anybody on here is an internal member of the team, how do they prove the worth to their senior management or MD or whoever it might be?
Well, it's interesting because it means that SEOs can no longer kind of hide behind branded clicks as much, because you can kind of essentially filter them out straight away. It does give a more accurate flavor of how successful your SEO strategy has actually been, because you're not really in control of how many branded clicks you get, because that's really a brand awareness piece rather than an SEO piece. All of our SEO work that we do is aimed at non-branded keywords, obviously. So Fishes essentially makes it a lot faster for us to actually report on the stuff that actually matters, to be honest. So yeah, it's a really handy tool that I would suggest everybody uses within Google Search Console.
Got you. A quick look through the questions. Still got time for a couple more if anybody wants to drop any more into the chat. Let's have a quick look. I'm looking to start paid ads on LinkedIn to help drive engagement or attract new customers. Where's the best place to start? Emmeline, LinkedIn ads, where to start? Pretty open-ended question there, but give us some knowledge.
Probably the LinkedIn official articles or the LinkedIn page, but also YouTube is brilliant for paid social, more so than it is for the paid search. There's tons of paid social experts on there that can, yeah, go from the absolute basics to more advanced strategies.
Excellent. And feel free to reach out if you want any sort of support on that as well. As we're moving from SEO to AEO or GEO, whatever you want to call it, what metrics do you think should be measured moving forward? So what are we appending to our traditional SEO reports to show that we've got an eye on this?
So one thing you can do is track this through GA4, but you have to do it manually. So you need to set up a new channel group. There is actually a blog on our site which I wrote, which essentially tells you step by step how to do this. But at the moment in GA4, there's no automatic channel for AI sources. So if you add it, it's a lot easier for you to be able to track the traffic, the conversions, the sales, etc., that are actually coming from ChatGPT, Gemini, etc. So we use it. So that's how we report on AI engines at the moment. Hopefully, as I said earlier, if Google follows Bing with adding it to Google Search Console, that would be fantastic. And that would make things a lot easier too. But as I say, I would recommend setting up a new channel group within GA4. And there's a lot of information on our site as to how you can do that. So by all means, have a look, or you could email me as well.
Excellent. And I think we shall do one more question. It's for you again, Neil, but I'm asking you this because I've seen this come across my Twitter feed a few times myself. Would you suggest using Reddit to promote your company to appear more in AI search? I know that's been a bit of a rumor. Can you confirm or deny?
Well, Reddit's hard because we often find that Google's core updates either really favor Reddit or really punish it. So I don't really want to give an answer either way, to be honest, because because it's hard to know with Reddit because it changes a lot. But there does seem to be some evidence that getting your brand mentioned a lot within there could help you on LLMs, but that's not been as backed up by evidence as some of the stuff that I've talked about today. So I would take that with a bit more of a pinch of salt, to be honest.
Perfect. Well, look, it is 12 o'clock. That means we have taken up an hour of everybody's time. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Good. Thank you for everyone who's spoken today. Like I say, we had a huge response to this webinar. About 700 people signed up, and the vast majority have turned up to watch too. We are going to be circulating the recording of this. So if you want to watch it again or distribute to your teams, feel free to do so. And we'll be popping the recording on our website, etc. Like I say, we do run these quarterly. We'd love to see everyone on the next one. We're the Digital Maids. We're a full-service marketing agency. We offer web, SEO, PPC. So if you do need any help, do feel free to reach out. But other than that, thank you again, and we will see you again next time.